Hello, everybody, and welcome to James' House of Rock. We're back here with another episode with a lovely guest, Cody Curtin.
Hello.
Big music fan and a player of music himself. So, we might as well just jump right into the interview here. What are some of your biggest musical influences?
I think now it's a lot more like hip hop and rap more than it ever used to be. So I'd say like Eminem's one of my biggest, but like NF, Lupe Fiasco, and then on the rock side, Brian Fallon, Linkin Park. I love hip hop and rap combined. I don't think it's done enough.
Linkin Park is a really good example of that.
Yeah.
Hollywood Undead is another good example of doing that to a certain extent.
Yeah, I don't always love like comical music in a sense, and they have some like cool melodies and riffs, but lyrically I can't always get behind what's going on there, you know?
Yeah. So on that note, what are some of your favorite albums?
Even though it's maybe not listed as, I should have probably said Rise Against too, but The Suffer and The Witness was a big one for me. Get Hurt by the Gaslight Anthem. Basically anything that Brian Fallon does, I think like all his melodies, his lyrics. I can't believe how fast he can churn out music. Like he has like 4 bands, sings by himself, travels, and he's just like putting out quality content all the time, and I love all of it. And then probably my most listened to album is Stone Temple Pilots' Greatest Hits, Thank You.
Okay.
So I listen to that a lot.
I mean, what a diverse group of music. I love it.
Yeah. And Motown, like I listen to Motown constantly.
So what originally got you into music?
I mean, much like anyone else, just listening, but probably to escape. You know, you start to really get into bands and things where it creates a moment for you. Or, you know, there's songs I can listen to still for 30 years and I love them just the same as I heard them the first time. So I think music and movies are like some of the only things that can do that for you.
Yeah.
So
what was some of the first bands or songs that you listened to that even got you to like pursue that?
As far as I remember, Green Day was one of like my first cassettes because that was a thing.
Yeah.
And you know, we used to record it off the radio, and you'd record the same song like 5 times on the cassette, so you didn't have to keep rewinding it. But Green Day was definitely a big one. And then I don't like them now, but REM for some reason.
Okay.
And then I really, like, as I got into like middle school, like Slipknot, things like that. Those are
the
some
standard high school metal hardcore affair. Yeah.
Exactly.
As per usual. I mean, you kind of already answered this, but what would you consider like your main musical style?
I guess if I had to choose now, it would lean a little bit more toward the hip hop side than it would like, but it's kind of both. Like I would never be able to make like one without the other. Any music I make is influenced by both.
Yeah.
So I guess that would like rock hip hop would be.
Rock hip hop is a good genre. Yeah, it really is. So I know you've been working on some songs and some music and stuff. How would you go about like writing your lyrics?
So it happens very differently all the time, and I think it does for a lot of people. Most of the time, I'd say I make the song. I sing the lyrics or come up with the lyrics before the beat almost every time. For some reason, like when I'm trying to create lyrics, listening to a beat can like kind of influence me sometimes in a way that I don't want it to, or it like clouds my head, especially if I can recognize like a scale or a melody from another song, and then I start like thinking about that song as opposed to. So a lot of times I would go after the lyrics first, but there are times like if I have a clear head on my way home, if it's like an hour in traffic, I'll just put on different beats and start to sing. And sometimes like I make 5 songs off one beat, so it's like you're just trying to like get what you can out of it. So typically I'd say it's lyrics first. They just kind of like play through, or I'll see something on social media that like makes me angry, or so like literally everything. And then it just kind of flows through, and then I try to get a melody to fit the lyrics.
Okay. Yeah, and what would you say like you kind of mentioned this, but what inspirations would you say your lyrics draw from, like when you're writing the lyrics? Where is it drawing from for the most part?
Usually life experience. There's some times where like you'll sit around with your friends and make a funny song about something, or you might see or something in the news that makes you want to write a song. But typically I'd say life experience fuels all the things that you would write about, and you just try to find, for me, like creative ways to write about them, so it's not just the same thing over and over if you're talking about pain or happiness or love or things like that. So I try to bounce ideas off people all the time to see what they would think about that subject, and sometimes just like the one line that somebody gives you changes a whole theme of a song or you know, how that kind of thing goes. So other people are a big influence for that.
Where would you typically get your beats? Like, are you just taking somebody else's for now, or?
Yeah, sometimes, a lot of times, like if I'm in the car, I'm just YouTube quick. I have like a playlist that I use of beats that I like a lot, or I do have a few friends who make beats, and then a lot of times voice clips, like if I bring my guitar or something, I'll just play like a little melody and keep that on like a loop, and then that kind of is the melody for the song, and then I would go and translate that into like a beat or things like that, you know.
What kind of equipment are you using right now? Because I know that's a big thing people ask always of like musicians.
That's the hardest part for me right now, is the actual recording of the music. You know, I've played a bunch of songs with friends. I've played in some bands with friends and things like that. But probably my least strong suit is recording music. You know, I have a bunch of MIDIs. I have GarageBand. I have Pro Tools and things like that. But that's my biggest obstacle right now, is like mixing and recording the actual tracks. Not like writing and stuff comes easy, or what I think is easy, and it's really just the equipment is the hardest part for me. I have a ton of stuff. That's the
it's part of the battle is knowing how to use it.
Yeah, exactly. And I do a lot of that, but I do have some good friends who that's how I got into it, was, you know, working with some of my friends who make a lot of beats and things like that.
So you'd mentioned you'd played in some like bands with friends. Did you ever get anywhere with any of them, or no?
Definitely not. My first band ever was the Rolling Pandas.
Nice.
So as you can see, you've never heard of the Rolling Pandas, so we got nowhere.
What was been your like favorite band experience in trying to be a band, at least?
You know, actually we didn't ever come up with a name or anything, but when I was in college, we used to bring our guitars when we knew we were going to miss the last train, and we would play with like the street drummers and things like that. So we didn't like form a group, but it was me, my friend Jared, my friend Joe, and we would just kind of like go out and play, and we would do covers, or we would come up with funny songs, and like sometimes some of like the homeless dudes came up and they would start trying to sing along with things, and like it was just like a really fun, I'd say more it was like an improv group probably more than it was a band, but I'd say that was like my most fun and creative experience for
That's
music.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Do you remember any bad experiences, or like the bad side of things?
In that specific group, no, but a lot of times, like if you're trying to gel with the wrong people in music, people can get really pretentious about something, or like if you like something but don't know everything about it, or you mess up once or twice certain people at different skill levels or what have you, or genres, it's just like kind of unpleasant to work with. So I've dealt with plenty of that with even friends, where it's just like you play for 20 minutes and you're like, this is not going to work.
I don't want to ever talk to you again. Thank you.
Basically, So, but other than that, a lot of times creatively, it's mostly fun.
Yeah. So what are some of the best concerts you've ever been to kind of jump on to like more talking about experiences?
All right. So some of the best concerts I've ever been to, I would have to say 21 Pilots put on one of the best shows I've actually ever seen.
I can totally believe that.
He had the first time I saw him was at the Aganis Arena, and he had a stage on one side and a stage on the other. So no matter where you bought a ticket, you got to see front row at some point.
That's pretty cool.
And then during one of the songs, he turned out all the lights, and there was like an army of people wearing like a black suit with a glowing skeleton, and they were playing like a drum line. And then he also had that suit on, and around the arena, he got like body doubles that would look like they were singing and then falling off the edge, and then he would appear somewhere else. So that was like I didn't expect it. You know, I went there, I expected to see a regular show, and I got a lot more.
You got an experience.
I got an experience.
Yeah. Was that part of the Blurry Face tour, the Emotional Roadshow, or?
It was before that, actually.
It was before that?
It was before that. So I want to say
Vessel was the album before that.
Yeah, no, I know it's Vessel. I want to say it was maybe 8 years ago, 7, 8 years ago at that point. So it was a while ago.
AJR did a very similar thing. They were more of an experience than they were a concert. Like I wasn't just seeing somebody play. They had a full-on like show, which It makes sense because 21 Pilots and JHR are kind of, in that same ballpark as each other.
Well, I have a rule about concerts. You either have to have a really good show or be that talented. Like, you remember when we saw A Day to Remember? Mm-hmm. It was like a
Are you talking about first or second time?
The first, Lowell.
The second time was the one that was terrible. Yeah.
He just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Usually they have a great stage show. I mean, he's not like the best vocalist in the world. I love him, but like they usually have a great stage show. They had nothing. He sucked vocally that night.
He was kicking beach balls around
basically
for 40 minutes.
That was it. So it's like, I don't want to pay my money for you to either not be focused on the music or not focused on the show. Like Panic at the Disco, for me, he does both all the time. I mean, he has a rhinestone piano that floats through the sky. Like, I mean, you can't go wrong.
I've seen him do that twice now, and it's still amazing.
Yeah,
and I loved even more so I saw him during the Death of a Bachelor tour, where he had like a video on the screen of like the car from the Death of a Bachelor cover like driving through the whole thing, and then like it crashed out of the stage, and he like backflipped out of it.
So it's like you get a whole show like that. And then I've seen shows where like specifically Mumford & Son and Alter Bridge, they didn't need to do anything except stand there and sing, because they're just that good.
I mean, so sometimes you just don't need to. I did really enjoy Alter Bridge when I had seen them. So, piggybacking off of that, what's your worst concert experience?
There's been a few, but Disturbed is my worst, where it was so bad he couldn't even finish after like the second or third song, and maybe he was sick or something, but we've talked about joking about it before, where you're singing about being like this god or a master of war, and then it's like, dude, you couldn't even get through a song. So like you're gonna be this godlike creature, but you can't finish singing 2 songs.
Maybe you should be the master of a diet.
Yeah, definitely. Or like a different stage show, because unfortunately they're one of the bands where like, and I like some generic rock, so it's like I went through this 10-year stretch where I feel like I saw Buck Cherry and Disturbed way more times than I ever wanted to, which is like even if I saw them once. So it was kind of like watching the same stage show over and over and over, and even now still I can't believe so many people go to see them, and it's like I don't ever want to see them live again ever.
That's completely fair. I remember the one time I even had an opportunity to see them, I left before they even went on. They were the headliners, so I went with you actually. I left with you because I didn't even want to be there.
You beat traffic.
I went there for Alter Bridge and Breaking Benjamin at that time.
Breaking Benjamin's always a good one.
Well, not recently. He's the last 3 shows. He's
not Xfinity.
The last 3 shows we've seen him, and he's just given up halfway through the show, and the guitarist has been picking up the slack.
I should say Breaking Benjamin, the original band, was always a good show. Ever since they've got the new band and like the other people sing multiple songs and stuff, like I'm not really into that.
Well, no, I'm not even talking about like he was just giving them an opportunity to sing. Like he clearly just straight up gave up halfway through the show, and the guitarist had to fill in. Like they went off stage for a couple minutes after a really weird song, and then they came back on, and the guitarist sang the rest of the show. So you could tell he was just over it.
He's done that a few times when I've seen them too. And I'm not just blaming Xfinity, but I gotta say, for one of my worst concerts where I didn't expect was Incubus.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand a word they were saying at the Xfinity Center. Like nothing. Like I was like, what am I listening to right now? It was pretty dreadful. So that is, even though it's not a question for me, that's my least favorite concert venue, because so many bands that I've seen at other places that did a phenomenal job, I was like, this show is literally terrible.
I think the House of Blues has to take that for me. I hate the House of Blues Boston. It's like my least favorite venue, and the problem is all of the bands that I listen to are just big enough to fit House of Blues, but not Xfinity or any of the other ones around the area.
Yeah.
So like everything's at the House of Blues, and I hate that venue so much.
That's why I like when like the Songus Arena is my favorite around here.
I like the Songus. I like the Agganis Arena quite a bit. That's where I saw JHR.
And then Palladium indoor and outdoor. I love. So
I don't think I've ever seen an outdoor show there.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna maybe have to see one then.
It's just the parking lot with a stage in it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So it's pretty good. Yeah.
So hopping back onto like your music. After some experience talk, what are you hoping to accomplish with your music? Because obviously I know you haven't released anything yet, but you are working there.
That was like my biggest thing, much like with art. I won't release anything until I feel like it's good enough to release to people. And not good enough as in like I'm going to be famous tomorrow. But what I hope to do with music is if you listen to one of my songs, you get something out of it. You enjoy it. You like... I don't want to make music just to make music, or make music because that's what's cool right now. And that's why it's taken me so long, because to find my style. At first I thought I would, just play metal or things like that. And as I evolved, as much as I like love metal and rock, it's music I could never play.
Yeah.
And even my guitar, like I play acoustic 90% of the time when I'm playing or when I'm trying to think of melodies, even for like rap songs or, beats or anything like that. So if I could just get people to enjoy something or feel something out of it, then I think I did my job.
There you go. Yeah. So what have you been working on for the most part?
So about, 6-7 months ago in the middle of quarantine, I help like a lot of my friends write lyrics and melodies and stuff like that. And my friend was like, how come I've never heard you rap? And I was like, well, I'm not a rapper. I don't rap.
Yeah.
He's like, well,
why not?
You do it all the time. Like you help me make like lyrics and stuff. So here's a beat and you have 10 minutes. So I made a song about skateboarding and things like that. And we had a really good time doing it. So that's kind of what led to it. I never was like, I'm going to go I'm going to go rap tomorrow or do whatever, It was more just fun, and that's what it's been. So that kind of turned into a more serious thing where I've been working with a few of my friends to come out with hopefully 5 or 6 songs in the not so distant future.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's kind of where that is at the moment.
Awesome. So where did you learn to play guitar?
So I kind of always messed around with it with my brother and some of my friends when I was younger. But really that like in college when I wanted to, we spent a lot of time making songs to make fun of each other. So
as you do. Yeah.
So we used to bring my friend Andy's like laptop around on the train and stuff like that. And we would go record here or there or different things. So that was really when I started to learn a little bit better how to play. Like I still wasn't good by any means, but you could play chords together and keep a rhythm. And that helped a lot, like getting over like the fear of playing in front of people or, because nobody cared. We were just playing. And then when you got in one of those moments where like you got a good beat from a drummer and you guys were all just playing like simple chords together, and there was times where people came over and freestyled or did whatever, and like for a moment the world falls away and you're like, oh, I'm not on a dirty street corner at 2:30 in the morning in Boston. Like you feel like you're playing a show at that point. So that was some of the most like fun that I've had. And that really is what led me to like start to learn, and then I kind of drifted away for a few years and got back to it. Well,
that's awesome. So this pretty much the last question, and as I wrap up with pretty much every guest with this, where can people find you? Because you mentioned something in the not so distant future, so where can that be?
Right now, people can find me nowhere.
Yeah, okay.
Because
there's nothing released.
There's nothing released, and as you know, with other things, I'm also kind of terrible with social media most of the time, even when I have content. But I will make sure when I do finish this, because it's been something that like is a big passion of mine, that I will have it on SoundCloud or
one of the best things that I've ever found is DistroKid.
Yep.
It's a music distribution platform that I think it's like $30-something a year. Yeah. And it gets put on every single platform.
Yeah,
and you get royalties from it too.
I would definitely do something like that. But until now, I had never considered ever even releasing anything to the public or showing people besides sending clips to friends and things like that. So, but now it's in a place where I think it's cool that I have enough friends who are also talented at music and will probably, assist on some of the tracks and things like that. So.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you. So right now, we're going to head to album review corner, which for this episode is going to be Scaled and Icy by 21 Pilots. And then we'll be right back here with Cody to do our season's first Game Time. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode's album review corner. In today's episode, we'll be covering Scaled and Icy, the newest album from 21 Pilots. So personally, I did really enjoy the album. It did take a couple of listen throughs for me to fully appreciate everything that they were going for. But now that I have listened to it a ton, I absolutely love it. See, this is a much different album for them. And like Tyler Joseph has even acknowledged that, in that he said that Trench was very, very dark, so this was like a response to that, in that it's much brighter in tone, although I wouldn't let appearances fool you, considering that also the lyrics are still the same signature 21 Pilots dark. I absolutely love the album now. There are a few duds in it,
The Outside is not my favorite song. It's not a bad song by any means. It's just not like my favorite on the album. And then like there are just some flow stops here and there that just make the album sometimes skippable, which is generally not something you ever want in an album. I will say lead singles Choker and Shy Away are just absolutely phenomenal songs, and so is Saturday. I could get down to Saturday all day every day without any issue ever. You could just play that song on repeat. So like all in all, it's a very, very solid outing. Definitely not the album I expected, but I am happy with the results. And I look forward to, apparently they're already working on their next one. So I do look forward to listening to that. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll go back to James in the main segment.
Welcome back from Album Review Corner. So now it is time for the first game time. For this season's, we are going to be doing a Guess That album cover. So essentially, I have blurred a couple of names from the band and the album cover off of the cover itself. And Cody here, my guest, will have to guess what the album cover is. You can give me the album name or the band name or both.
Preferably both.
If you get both, you get a full point.
All right.
If you get one or the other, it's half a point.
Sweet.
You'll be competing against the other guests of this season as we keep going. Each guest will have a different set of 5, so it's not like they can watch the previous episode and cheat or anything like that. But, you know, that's pretty much it. So we might as well just get to the first one. So let's head to the wide shot and get started.
All right. Well, for future contestants, I'm here to set the bar really, really low.
Yeah.
So that would be Green Day, American Idiot.
Hey, there we go. That's the first one correct. So it's a full point for you. Let's do the second one. This one I wasn't too sure on that anybody would know, but I feel like it's iconic enough.
It looks like it would be an Aerosmith cover, but I honestly have no idea.
You can let me know when you want to give up, and we'll reveal the answer.
I literally have no idea who it is. So
okay, Liz, we can reveal the answer. It is Queen, News of the World.
You know me, I hate Queen.
That's fair. The only thing that like strikes me from this album cover is still the Family Guy episode where Brian just keeps annoying Stewie with this album cover. Yeah.
Yeah, I should have known that actually.
Yeah. So, all right, we can move on to the third one.
I know I'm terrible at album covers.
Yeah.
So I do know that this is No Doubt. And
okay, so you've got half a point. Let's see if you can get the full point.
I don't know. Is that the album name already on there? So
oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm not
he still was trying to guess the album title. Well, it's too late now, Liz, but thank you. So yes, it is Tragic Kingdom. I'm gonna give you half a point.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna get it. I'll be real honest about that. So half a point it is.
Okay, we can move on to the fourth one.
I mean, that is definitely Motley Crue.
Okay.
And I couldn't tell you the name of a Motley Crue album if my life depended on it.
That is
so
fair.
I'm gonna go with something stupid like, I don't know. The greatest hair ever.
So you did get half a point. It is correct. It is Motley Crue. You can reveal the answer. It is Shout at the Devil.
I probably should have known that, actually.
Yeah. All right. And we got our fifth and final one.
That is The Killers.
Yep. You got one part of it right. It's half a point.
I literally know no album titles ever in the history of album titles. I'll know it when I hear it, but
yeah.
Are We Human?
You can reveal the answer. Hot Fuss.
Yep.
So I believe that was a total of 2.5 points, which isn't too bad.
Hey, better than I thought.
You're the first person, so right now you're in first place. You can revel off that for now. That will be pretty much the format for the game time going forward. We'll see how other guests do with a different set of 5 in our upcoming episodes. But for right now, I'm going to throw it to our artist spotlight, which will be on Census Fail.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode's Artist Spotlight. In today's episode, we'll be focusing on pop-punk band Census Fail. Formed in New Jersey in 2002, the band currently consists of members James Buddy Nielsen, Gavin Caswell, Steve Carey, Greg Stolidis, and Jason Milbank. The band was formed when Nielsen posted an ad online looking for band members, and the first drummer for the band was actually only 14 years old. The band's name originates from a tradition in Hinduism where they believe that in order to reach nirvana, you have to have all of your senses fail, according to Nielsen. Their first EP, From the Depth of Dreams, managed to get on the Billboard 200 upon release, which is impressive even if it was only 144th place. You don't typically get that very often, which is always super impressive. The band has since released 7 albums, with their biggest singles being Can't Be Saved as well as Calling All Cars, both from their album Still Searching, although they are most well known for, as a whole, their first album, Let It Enfold You. This has been Artist Spotlight. Now back to James in the main segment.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Thank you, Cody, for being here today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
As soon as there is something to show from him, I will make sure that it gets put out on our platforms. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Make sure to listen to the JHR Backstage podcast that comes out in companionship to this. Thank you.